is right now. Eminem got one of the greatest phrases in his hip-hop genre. He said, before lose yourself, he was like, yo, we all get that one moment. When it's presented, are you going to catch it or are you going to let it slip away? Let's go catch that moment.
You're watching ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. Lavelle Moton moments ago, leading the charge for the 6th seed North Carolina Central University Eagles, getting set to tangle with the #1 seed Hampton Pirates here in Norfolk. Look at the bracket. Here's how we got here. North Carolina Central convincing win against Morgan State late last night. Hampton cruise against North Carolina A&T State as well. Well, great to have you courtside with Malcolm Huckabee, Roy Philpott, and what a time to be alive. We are punching tickets to the dance yet again.
This is the best time in college basketball. These are the moments you live for. All the 6 a.m. workouts, all the hard practices. You live for this moment right here to punch a ticket into the big dance.
We talk about Hampton this year as the #1 seed. We talk about the TCU transfer, Malik Trent Street. What a season he has had.
He's going to be a key matchup this afternoon for North Carolina Central. He is a guy that can go off for big numbers. You talked about it last night, 25 points. He'll pull up in transition. He has great range, but I think the key thing for them, they must keep him out of the paint in this game.
Pirates have won 10 games in a row, entering this championship tilt underway, and Hampton controls the opening tap. Attacking in the early basket by Akeem Mitchell. And a good start for Hampton. And Malcolm, so many times we talk about tournaments. So important to get off to a good start considering everything that's at stake.
In particular for North Carolina Central, they do not have a deep roster like Hampton does. I think they must have a good start, but it's going to start on the defensive end for them. They have to keep Hampton out of the paint.
Number 32 for NC Central, the leading scorer, Rashawn Davis. As that one's tapped out 5 to shoot, it'll stay with the Eagles. Here's a look at Davis, 15 points, 8 rebounds per game, Malcolm. And we talked with Lavelle Moton about his star player this morning, the Kent State transfer, and he said, you know what, we need multiple efforts from this guy. If we don't get it, we don't have a shot.
And he had a big game last night, a double-double last night, 22 points and 11 rebounds. They're going to need more of that this afternoon for North Carolina Central.
Second team all MEAC. Also posted 20 rebounds in the win against Savannah State back in the quarters. Back to live action off a turnover. Akeem Mitchell attacking again. And a late whistle will put number 25 at the strike.
Hampton, that's how they want to play. They want to get up and down. They want to play at a fast pace. Last night they went over 90 points. So for North Carolina Central, it starts with taking care of the ball, but then their transition defense has to be on point this afternoon.
Gardner picks up his first personal, first team foul against NC Central. Eagles located in Durham, North Carolina, about 185 miles from here in Norfolk. Quick hands by the Pirates defense.
And this right here cannot happen. A nice help side defense by Hampton that time. And then they're off to the races. Make or miss, they want to get up and down. But certainly if you're North Carolina Central, you have to limit the turnovers in this game.
Hampton, a fun team to watch this year. They'll put up 95, 100 points on occasion. 96 in that semifinal victory, as we mentioned yesterday. And now full court pressure. And another steal. Now the fingertips of Trent Street forcing the turnover. And Trent Street gives it right back. Lavelle Moton, year number 9. Leading the charge for the Eagles, was dynamic player back in the mid-90s for NC Central. And got a lot of mentors in his life, including Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, which he told us about earlier.
I really love speaking with him before the game, and I love the energy that he brings to this program. He has done an outstanding job here at North Carolina Central.
Eagles still trying to scratch the scoreboard. As it pops back out to Jordan Perkins. He was quoting Eminem in his pregame speech. How can you not love that?
His talent right there. And again, you have to have the energy coming into this game. So important for both programs. And his team really has really responded well to his message, which is just go hard all the time.
Now Dump it down low. Davis was hacked attacking the rim. Rashawn Davis is going to shoot 2. Foul be called against Trent Street. That's his first. And there's a look at Buck Joyner, year number 9 as well. He's won the MEAC 3 different occasions. Malcolm and Hampton, of course, leaving the MEAC after this year and will join the Big South Conference as of July 2018.
And we just got 2 really quality coaches and programs on display this afternoon. Both these guys really with their respective programs. All you can say is just outstanding. They're consistently good, and it's really a big reason why these guys are in the championship game. The quality of the coaching that both teams have.
1 of 2 at the line for Davis. First point up for NC Central. I think the Eagles want to slow things down as much as possible, and they want to turn this into a slugfest, according to Lavelle Moten. That's one way to do it, knocking Merrow to the deck. But a foul, and the second team foul as Perkins picks up his first.
All right, one thing we're going to follow closely in this game, North Carolina Central, they didn't get back to their hotel last night until around 1 p.m. or excuse me, 1 a.m. And, they had the late game, and now you have the quick turnaround. So I think fatigue could play a factor, I think, later in this game.
So they've played in the tournament all week long as the 6th seed. Had the late game last night. Fatigue absolutely will be a factor at some juncture. Still waiting for NC Central's first made field goal in this one. Tapped away by Trent Street. No over and back, and finally a whistle. And for Trent Street, that'll be his second.
And it looks like he got poked in the eye, and that is not a good foul right there. Certainly not what you want to see if you're Hampton. Him going to the bench, obviously you want to make sure he's okay, but with the 2 quick fouls, really no need for it right here.
More of a fluke foul than anything else. As whistle goes against Hampton. Guerra gets it back and lays it in. John Guerra, the junior, used to play at the Naval Academy as a walk-on for NC Central, cashes in the first bucket. And traveling violation, Fisher the guilty party.
And back to Guerra, we talked to Coach Moten about it. He said, look, he was working my basketball camp. Love what he was doing with the guys, and this is what he brings right here. Multiple efforts right there. You get blocked, stick with it. A nice little putback off of the block right there. That's excellent effort.
Facing that full court pressure, here's Zachary Douglas. Hampton can just wear you down with that defense. Malcolm, you can sense as well NC Central deliberately trying to slow this one down. Davis down low, and he's got 3.
This pace right here is perfect for NC Central. They don't want to get into a track meet with Hampton. They're slowing the pace down. They're controlling tempo early in this game.
Miscommunication. Merrow went one way. The pass from Hextall went the other. And now 3 turnovers in their last 4 possessions.
Well, this is how you control the pace. Long possessions, and then you get the ball, get a paint touch, and then defensively, you don't give up ball penetration. You check that box off early on for NC Central.
First lead for the Eagles at 5-4 with possession as well. We're inside historic Scope Arena. Guerra too strong, and the stick back is good. They'll credit Davis the bucket, and a 7-0 run for NC Central.
And last night they were a +11 in the rebounding department, NC Central. So again, that's an area Hampton, they're going to have to tighten up the offensive glass and keep NC Central off of it.
They'll work it inside out, and a traveling violation. North Carolina Central in the midst of a 7-0 run early in the MEAC Championship game. And Rashawn Davis doing the dirty work, as he always does for the Eagles.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance, and the magic of Walt Disney World Resort Hotels.
7-4 our score. Back at the MEAC Championship game here in beautiful Norfolk, Virginia. These two programs have combined to win 5 of the last 7 MEAC tournament titles. And NC Central, the defending champs, Buck Joyner trying to unseat Lavelle Moton this year. It's been an emotional season for Buck. He lost his father nearly 3 months ago, who was a part of this coaching staff. And certainly I know that he is on his mind this afternoon. Eagles on a 7-0 scoring binge, nearly 5 minutes in. Four to shoot. Step back triple, well short. And back to Hampton. Nice job defensively on that possession.
And you can see NC Central continues, though, the run clock. That time, shot clock violation. But if you're going to get a shot clock violation, you rather have it be that way, where there is no fast break opportunity. And NC Central still continue to do a good job controlling tempo early on in this game.
Yeah, give me the dead ball turnover as opposed to getting Hampton out in transition. Nice basket by Kalen Fisher. Fisher kept that pivot foot steady and connected with a mid-range.
Yeah, nice little post move that time for the guard. Got it in that really short corner elbow area, and then was able to just raise up over the defender.
Haven't called Jermaine Merrow's name a lot, the 3rd leading scorer in the MEAC, number 2 in white today. Try to get the loose basketball there, can't do it. The baseline jumper is sweet by Gardner Jr.
And it just seems like early on NC Central, they're getting their hands on those 50-50 balls, whether it's offensive rebounds or balls up for grabs off of deflections, and they're just beating Hampton to the punch early on in this game.
Key Mitchell with the finish. Key Mitchell out of nowhere, the junior from Charlotte, and a chance for 3 the hard way.
Degree of difficulty off the charts right here. Nice little up fake, and then go on there on the other side with the finger roll, and that is just a difficult finish. Take the contact, and my goodness.
Chance to tie it up. Foul was called against Davis. Mitchell with 6 points, make it 7. Came in averaging just over 8 per contest, so a good start. Scope Arena, the one-time home of the Virginia Squires and Dr. J of the ABA. In traffic, floater short, stick back too strong. Dr. J used to play here, man. How sweet is that?
Great history, a really nice atmosphere in this MEAC tournament.
Merrow, we mentioned him a moment ago, can't connect. Putback is too strong by Barnes and controlled by Davis. Guerra on the other end connects.
Well, Guerra is starting off this game in attack mode. That time, nice secondary transition. They're pushing the ball up, and Guerra is continuing to attack the rim.
Fisher, an air ball, and the contested triple. Gardner got there in just the right time. And NC Central, deliberate. We'll slow this one down again. Eagles come in as the number 6 seed, defending champs, but Malcolm returned no starters from last year's title game. This was supposed to be a rebuild as Hextall gets whistled for the infraction. Lavelle Moton told us today we rebuild with the intentions cutting down the nets. That's just how we go about our business at NC Central. I thought it was a great quote, and he said it with such confidence.
Yeah, he wanted nothing to do with rebuild and think about next year. He's like, no, we're rebuilding for this year, and he said it with confidence. We're trying to cut down the nets, and his team really has embraced that, and you can tell in the way they played in this tournament.
You can tell in his pregame speech. Had his guys reciting all of the key elements: rebound, execute, defend, some of the basics. But nice reminders right before tip.
And that's key in a game like this. Again, they played late last night as they continue to execute on the offensive side. But back to that point about having his guys locked in, it's so important in games like this right here. Again, they're doing an excellent job of spacing the floor. And then that's just a beautiful finish and taking the hit. But their guys, they came into this one locked in. The quick turnaround after not getting back to their hotel 1 a.m. in the morning. Obviously, that would be a concern for any coach having to play again at 1 p.m. But he's like, listen, I was on my guys. You got that one moment. Lock in.
Rivas the basket on one end, the flush on the other by Wilson Fisher. At a career-high 18 in the semifinal win against North Carolina A&T, and he lived on the rim in the first half of that one. He's going to try to do it here today as well.
And that's Hampton's MO. They are lethal in transition. That's how you execute the fast break.
Pablo Rivas checking in. Had the three-point play moments ago. Thinking about a triple here, instead attacking. And controlled by Bracey, who just checked in. Pirates in transition and free throws. Perhaps coming up. We'll rule that foul on the floor by Rivas. Charles Wilson Fisher's got some nasty ups.
All right, here, show off the hops, young man. Beautiful transition offense by Hampton.
A dazzling place I never knew. A new fantastic point of view.
That point at all. You talk about when those two went head-to-head, advantage Colin Sexton, and you know, how about the quality coaches in the SEC, and Avery Johnson just really got that thing going in the right direction at Alabama.
Wilson Fisher rolls that one in, the senior. 14-13, Eagles with a 1-point advantage nearly halfway through our first half. And I'm with you on Sexton. And Oklahoma, meanwhile, Bubblicious program right now, headed into Selection Sunday tomorrow. It's hard to believe how far the Sooners have fallen.
Well, I think a lot of that is not talked about, but the fatigue factor. And obviously, they're going to get everybody's best shot, and that's not an easy league. But for any freshman guard, I think there has to be a little bit of cooling off, and I think that's happened with Trae Young.
Dominic Reed off the mark. Mitchell on the other side tosses up an air ball. Sweet move behind the back by Harney, who just checked in. Raekwon Harney will reset the offense.
And there's another loose ball that NC Central comes up with, and that has been key in this game, them limiting any turnovers that lead to transition opportunities for Hampton.
Larry McKnight also in the contest for the first time. Numeral 0. Harney throws up a brick. And a chance for the Pirates to regain the advantage. And I agree with your assessment as well. It does have an NC Central flow. They want to slow it down, turn it into a slugfest. And Merrow, his first basket. 6-0 run for Hampton. Jermaine Merrow, the leading scorer, nearly 20 points per game coming in.
And we really haven't called his name in this first half. Up until that point, one of the few breakdowns we've seen early on by NC Central, giving up dribble penetration.
Merrow first in scoring for Hampton this year. Also nearly 6 assists per game. Orchestrating the offense, scoring when the shot clock runs down, both his specialties. Reed travels. And checking back in, Fisher for Hampton. Harney goes out for Lavelle Moton's club.
Well, NC Central, give them credit. You know, early on in this first half, they've been contesting shots by Hampton. I think that's the key. You don't mind them taking shots. You just don't want them being uncontested on the perimeter. They're doing a nice job out closeouts and then contesting shots by Hampton.
Merrow feeling it. Shot was blocked by Davis. Good help side defense. Here's McKnight. And the big fella can move. Tapped out. It'll stay with NC Central.
And back to my earlier point that I just made, right on cue after the block, but nothing's coming easy for Hampton in this first half. They are doing an excellent job. All 5 guys, like Coach Moten talked about in his pregame speech, he said it can't be just individuals. All 5 guys have to create that wall on defense.
Rivas comes up short. Pirates with a 1-point lead and possession. Merrill, an open look. He's got that range, and the rebound by Davis. Eagles have missed their last 5 field goal attempts. McKnight down low, bullies his way to the rim and can't connect. Merrill in transition. Hit the deck, no whistle, controlled by the Eagles. Frenetic pace has developed here. Inside the scope and inside Rivas, his second basket.
And that's great recognition, understanding that Merrill was slow getting back. They had an advantage and they took advantage of it. Excellent transition offense and patience by NC Central.
Eagles having success in the painted area thus far. 6 of their 7 field goals in the paint. Approaching 8 to go in our first half. The MEAC Championship. And Hextall hacked just short of the free throw line. Well, Champ Week presented by Principal rolls right along later today, 6 o'clock Eastern. The Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship game, West Virginia and KU. Then at 8:30, North Carolina and Virginia. The New York Life ACC Championship game at the Barclays Center. And a question for you: the last tournament championship for West Virginia. It's been a while. It hadn't been that long, but they weren't in the Big 12 when it happened.
Wow. You know, you got to at least give me, you know, a half before you start throwing curveballs at me. I give up.
2010 Big East.
Wow.
Won the Big East tournament title. Free throws by Hextall, tied at 16. That was a little early for trivia. I'm with you on that one. I'll give you a free pass.
You got to give me a half at least.
I know. You got to warm up. Skip pass to Gardner. First team All MEAC rookie selection this year for number 5 for North Carolina Central. Comes up short on the triple. Trent Street checking back in and scoring on the floater.
He is just such a difficult matchup. We talked about the numbers he put up last night in the semis, 25 points. And you have to respect his jumper. Those are the guys that are so difficult to guard because if you back up off him, he'll raise up on you. And he's got the handle and a lethal short game.
Jordan Perkins over the backboard. Hampton possession. When we come back, the Pirates in the midst of a 9-2 run, and Malik Trent Street off to a great start in the transfer from TCU. Chris, thank you very much. 18-16 here in Norfolk, Virginia, the MEAC Championship game. Malcolm Huckabee, Roy Philpott. A very busy day across the ESPN networks. Champ Week really at its zenith over the next 24 hours or so. You got the SEC semis going on today, the ACC Championship game. Big Ten wrapped up last week up at MSG. They wrapped up a little early. And not to mention West Virginia and Kansas in the Phillips 66 Big 12 title affair. Going to be a lot of fun with Selection Sunday. Just 24 hours away too. Step back mid-range game in effect for Malik Trent Street.
And I use the word lethal. He is just so difficult to match up against. Again, he's got beyond NBA range from the three-point line. That's where he really does most of his damage in that mid-range game. So quick, so shifty, and a soft touch for the lefty.
Well, it's a lost art to some degree, and Trent Street with 2 personal fouls, still playing here in our first half. But you know, he's also a lefty. There's something about the left-handed stroke that makes it look a little sweeter. I have no idea why. But for Trent Street, that shot silky smooth.
I would agree, and that's not bad defense by NC Central. He's just a guy that's a difficult shot maker. And when he gets it going, he's just a really difficult guard to match up against.
Approaching the 6-minute mark of our first half. MEAC is a one-bid conference. Rivas inside and with a bounce. The one-bid conference heightens the importance of a game like this, Malcolm, because the winner will punch their ticket. The loser, likely done in the case of Hampton as the regular season champs. They would clinch a bid into the NIT, but you certainly understand that a bigger fish to fry for Buck Joyner. Want to get the Pirates back in the dance.
And that's what it's all about. And last night, Hampton put up 96 in that semi game. Right now they're at 20. And NC Central continues to do a nice job keeping the pace slow.
Off the high ball screen. All net for Gardner. 32% from bonus land this year. He started every game just as a freshman. Nice flush inside for Trevon Barnes. And our 6th lead change.
Nice footwork by the big that time, not settling for a jumper. And was able to get through that NC Central defense and for the flush.
22-21. I think you and I both a little surprised at how slow this game has transpired up to this point. Gardner will try to change it. Back iron. Controlled by Hampton. He scored 96 points in the semis. You feel like you got a chance to do something similar in the championship. Little pick and roll. Free throws upcoming for Barnes. Trevon Barnes shooting 58% from the floor this year. This is one of the reasons why.
Yeah, right here. Don't settle for the jumper out of the roll after setting the pick. And one of the few times we saw an open lane given up by NC Central. And that's just a heads-up play by the big. Again, showing off the footwork and then able to finish with the flush at the end.
Barnes 73% at the line this year. That foul was called against Davis, so he now has 2. And Rashawn Davis will have a seat on Lavelle Moten's bench. He's the leading scorer and rebounder for the Eagles. So Trent Street with 2 personals for Hampton. Davis with 2 for NC Central. A pair of misses by Barnes at the line. Hampton enters this contest having won its last 10 games. Defeated NC Central back on February 5th by 16. Different start to this one. Turnaround jumper by Rivas is good.
Well, they are putting on a clinic right now in terms of how you control tempo and pace of the game. They're not turning it over, but then defensively they're contesting everything and they're not giving Hampton any transition opportunities.
Mitchell off the backboard hard. MEAC has surprised some teams in the NCAA tournament over the years. Going back to 1997, Coppin State upset South Carolina, the 15 versus the 2. Norfolk State has had some success. Stick back is good. Rivas snuck in there again off the miss by Goldsmith. And a 9-2 run now for NC Central.
50-50 balls, offensive rebound putbacks. It's been all NC Central in that department. And that's how you get it done against the #1 seed.
Matchup zone now being showed by the Eagles. Deep triples good by Fisher. And the junior from Chicago, 3rd leading scorer. Ties us up at 25.
Not bad D, just better offense. Contested NBA 3. If you're NC Central, you got to live with that.
Huck, that was probably your philosophy back in the day at Boston College. Better offense beats better defense. I think LeBron was quoted with that one a few months ago, or maybe last year. Dominic Reed, the 3-pointer too strong. Right, but I mean, that's the old adage in hoops. Fisher a quick trigger.
And that's definitely it. When you look at any level, college or pro, guy gets it going on the offensive side. There's not much you can do.
Arrow hit the deck hard, no foul. North Carolina Central will reset, approaching the 2-minute mark of our first half.
It's been a deliberate approach on both ends by NC Central.
Swatted away at the last second by Barnes. Fisher, the junior from Chicago, 34% from downtown this year. Shooting with confidence in our first 20 minutes. We're tied at 25 here at the MEAC Championship. Sounds good, Chris. The all-hair team in studio today with Chris Cotter and Spatola anchoring our coverage, and then Tom Crean later on. Good grief. We're all jealous. And earlier this year, Lavelle Moten had the number 15 jersey retired. An emotional ceremony back in Durham. One of the all-time greats to play for the Eagles. And Malcolm, he has a lot on his plate these days, but never forgets where he comes from.
No, I really enjoyed speaking with him, and I always like asking coaches prior to a game who's had the most profound impact on you as a person. And without a doubt, he didn't hesitate. The two ladies in his life, his grandmother, Maddie McDoodle, and his mother, Hattie McDoodle. He talked about them and just the impact that they had on him, not only as a person, but some of the principles that he takes as a coach that he learned from those two. And really, again, just an outstanding job that he's done with this NC Central program.
His grandmother Maddie passing away in 1985 when he was just 10 years of age, but still resonating with him and how she helped run the house back then, how he runs his program to this very day as Perkins connects. And a little bit of a surprise emerging here in the MEAC, the 6-seed Eagles, coached by Moten, with a 2-point lead until that triple by Trent Street.
Back and forth. NC Central's locked in, but again, you're going to have to live with that with the guards of Hampton. They're going to do that. At times, you're going to be right there on them. That's an NBA contested three. You just got to tip your hat to them, but just continue contesting. Don't give them any open looks.
Little shake and bake. Floater rejected by Barnes. Now Goldsmith ran out of real estate on that possession. And a timeout is called. A 30-second pause in the action as we step aside. 28-27. Hampton out in front.
80.
Here inside historic Scope Arena. The Scope, as they call it in these parts. Norfolk, Virginia, the MEAC Championship game. 1-point lead for Hampton with Malcolm Huckabee, Roy Philpott. Entertaining start in this one, Huck, and probably raising a few eyebrows across the MEAC at this point.
Well, good job. Again, any sport, whether it's football, you want to keep a great offense off the field, or in basketball, this case right here, they wanted NC Central to keep Hampton a very good offensive transition team out of transition. They've done that thus far in this first half.
Barnes straightaway three ball, no good. 3 seconds to shoot off the offensive rebound. Trent Street off the front of the rim, and Hampton with a 1-point lead headed to halftime. 28-27 our score. Akeem Mitchell leading the charge with 7 as we send you back to the studio for the Audi halftime report. Chris Cotter, Chris Spatola, Tom Crean. Guys, take it away.
Thank you, Roy. Good game out there in Norfolk. Audi halftime report. Tom Crean, Chris Spatola, Chris Cotter here in studio. We're just kind of getting started with what is a full day of tournament action today. What we've seen from Colin Sexton in Alabama has been nothing short of remarkable.
You're watching ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. Back inside historic Scope Arena, the MEAC Championship. In the start of our second half, Hampton with a 28-27 advantage. A great to have you courtside. Malcolm Huckabee, Roy Philpott. Interesting first 20 minutes in the books. And right now, NC Central hanging around as the 6th seed.
They did a great job controlling the pace and tempo. They kept the possessions down, and they did not turn the ball over in that first half. Hampton only had 2 points off of turnovers in that first half. That was key in the first half for NC Central.
And lead the charge for the Pirates, Trent Street, 7 first half points and scoring in so many different ways.
He's the one guy. His mid-range game is lethal right there, showing off the little floater, and then right here the step back. That's just a difficult matchup, not bad defense, and this is what makes him a matchup nightmare. He's got beyond NBA range, and he is a guy that's going to be a key in the second half for North Carolina Central.
Eagles were down and dirty, getting the job done down on the blocks and slowing things down the exact way Lavelle Moten wanted them to.
And all the 50-50 balls and a lot of offensive rebounds went to NC Central in that first half. That was key for them. They were the team that was quicker to the ball in the first half.
Hampton has won its last 10 games in a row and is 13-4 when holding that advantage at halftime. So a good start for the Pirates as the 1 seed against the defending champs, NC Central. Final 20 minutes underway, and winner of this game will advance to the NCAA tournament. Loser obviously does not. Corner triple is good by Guerra. Just his 7th made 3-ball this year in 21 attempts.
And he has given them a nice boost in this game. In that first half, he was in attack mode to start off, and then he starts off with a 3-point shot.
John Guerra, the walk-on. No-look dish here. Free throws upcoming. And a fast start for the Eagles here in our second half.
Well, the interesting stat in that first half, North Carolina Central, they had 10 points off of turnovers in that first half. We thought that was a number that was going to go in favor of Hampton, but that was not the case, and credit the NC Central defense.
John Guerra began his basketball career at the Naval Academy. Now a walk-on at NC Central, and was introduced to Lavelle Moten by one of the managers during a summertime camp that he was working. Lavelle telling us he loved his spirit. Before you know it, playing basketball for him.
Yeah, that time though, missed opportunities, and NC Central, interesting strategy. They had nobody on the free throw line to try to get an offensive rebound. They're more concerned about transition defense, and that time they chose not to have anybody down there trying to get an offensive rebound off of a miss.
And Malcolm, I think it's also, transition defense and also conserving energy. Having played so late last night, Moten said they've got just 2 hours of sleep. Off the turnover and off the glass for Perkins.
Well, you cannot tell they're the team that didn't get back to their hotel to 1 a.m. They're just a fresher team right now.
Perkins, a member of the All-MEAC rookie squad this year. Fisher from the wing. Way too strong, and Trent Street there to clean it up.
There is NC Central again with the deliberate slow pace.
Guerra feeling it. 3-ball, corner, pocket, and count it.
Call the fire marshal. That man right there is on fire from beyond the arc.
Blocked on the glass by Davis. This ties the Eagles' largest advantage. Rivas. He's got 14 and the lead grows to 8. And a timeout called by Buck Joyner. An 11-2 run for the Eagles, and North Carolina Central off and running to start our second half. Guerra the deep 3, and then Rivas connects as well. In the SEC regular season championship, and the way in which they did, rejected at the rim by Davis.
All Rick Barnes does is win. I remember playing some of his Providence teams back in the early 90s, and moved on to Texas and now doing the same thing.
Davis excuse me, Malcolm, just got whistled for his third personal. And you're right on Barnes, from Providence to Clemson to Texas, now at Tennessee. And his teams aren't necessarily flashy, but they defend. They pass the ball extremely well with the bigs. He's always got one guy they can go to when they need a bucket. Grant Williams may be that player this year. Admiral Schofield. He's got firepower coming off the bench. And Lavelle Moten stoked to this 7-point lead. He's got to like the start here for NC Central. Jermaine Merrill's been held in check. Really, we've only called his name twice. Made a bucket in the first half and picked up the foul on Davis, his third here in our second, but just 1 of 2 at the line. You surprised by what we've seen so far?
I am a little surprised. I thought NC Central would be a team that came out with maybe some tired legs, and that has not been the case in this game. And they just continue to dictate and control the tempo and pace.
High-low action and picked off. Barnes was able to get there in time and tap it away. Eagles in a zone. Merrow short, gets it back, short again. Third opportunity. Keep in mind, Jermaine Merrow just 6 feet tall amongst the trees. It'll stay with Hampton. Jermaine Merrow just 1 of 9 from the floor, including a pair of misses there, and that's a developing story.
And that looked like a fatigue shot right there. This is one he typically finished. A little bit of contact, and then he tries to go back up. Excellent team defense that time by NC Central.
Jermaine Merrow, averaging nearly 20 points per game, has been held in check. Just 3 points. Trent Street, the kind bounce. He's now in double figures with 11.
Well, he's the one guy that he's just a scorer, and he's going to continue to be in attack mode. I like the change up of defense right here, though, by Hampton. They're extending the D.
Rare miss for Guerra. Rivas rejected. Finally corralled by Trent Street. Fisher, Mitchell, offensive foul. And how about the play of John Guerra? He's doing it all.
And that's how you get back in transition on D and break up what looked like was going to be a sure deuce by Hampton. Nice work that time by Hampton with the block, and then they're off to the races. But this is what you want. Transition D, punk a ticket on the line, and that's how you give up your body, take a charge.
5-point lead for the Eagles. 14 tickets have already been punched to the big dance. One more here today in Norfolk. Rivas double team. Doesn't matter. The spin and the finish, nicely executed.
Great elevation, and again, patience by NC Central. They just continue to execute. NC Central putting on an offensive clinic right here. Get them posted, raise up. It's been NC Central in the second half.
Pablo Rivas, 16 points, the native of Panama. Just getting the job done in so many different ways, Malcolm.
He is so efficient. Last season, he shot 64% from the floor. That's the third highest rank in school history. And this right here, that's just great elevation. And NC Central's doing a nice job identifying the matchup that they want. They're being patient, and then he's doing the rest. He continues to be efficient on the offensive side.
He's got 16 points, the rest of his team with 24. And the lead for the Eagles is 7. Back inside the scope. And the 6th seed trying to find a way to get into the NCAA tournament. Barnes, a patient move with the roll.
That thing stuck up there for a while. But one of the few paint touches that we've seen by Hampton in this second half.
If you're Hampton, at what point do you start to panic a little bit? You blew these guys out. You're only meeting earlier this year. You're the 1 seed. And the 6th seed is really giving you all that it has. Does that happen soon?
I think there's plenty of time left. I think the biggest issue for them is right there, and they continue to do that. They have to get higher percentage shots. I think you can't settle for jumpers against this NC Central D. You got to continue to push the pace and then try to get the ball inside the paint.
And you're certainly not going to panic in a one-possession game with 15 minutes remaining, but the Eagles doing all that they can. Trying to steal one and steal the automatic bid from the MEAC. Here's a turnover. Keem Mitchell quietly having a strong performance.
And this right here is nice job not settling for the jumper. Poor closeout, and then just blow right by him. The help wasn't there.
Flush for Barnes. It's a one-point game and a 9-2 run for Hampton. Trayvon Barnes, junior from Lafayette, Alabama, providing a spark. Outside. Well, that's been Guerra's spot, and a 3-second violation.
That's one that Guerra, he's got to let that fly. He's wide open. His man left him to double team. You have to shoot that one, and the result, a turnover. His guy's thinking he's going to shoot it. He's trying to get in the lane. On the other end right here, this is two good possessions by Hampton. Or the pick and roll defense, the help wasn't there, and then the result, a uncontested dunk.
6 points, 3 rebounds for Barnes. Hampton back to work. Trying to run that exact same play, better defended this time. Fisher off the heel. Raekwon Harney checking back in and orchestrating this offensive possession. Eight to shoot. Open look. Gardner for 3.
That's a big 3 for NC Central. Hampton has been on a roll as of late, the last 2 or 3 offensive possessions.
Eagles by 4. Barnes tried to throw it down. Hacked in the process.
And this has been the offensive possessions by NC Central. Nice patience, good find, and not a bad closeout by Hampton. Just better offense again by NC Central. And what they're doing, they're spacing the floor. They're doing a nice job, NC Central, of spacing the floor, but they're being really patient. So they're making Hampton defend long in the possessions. They got them chasing, and then they're getting some high percentage shots at the end.
And that's annoying when you bury that high percentage shot at the buzzer, especially if it's from downtown.
And you definitely are forcing Hampton to use a lot of energy on those defensive possessions. And you're right, that is the most frustrating feeling after you spent 20, 25 seconds chasing, and then the guy hits a contested 3.
Barnes out, Wilson Fisher back in. Barnes now 1 of 4 at the line in this one. Hampton extending its defensive pressure. The tempo in this one is picked up in our second half. The sense of urgency real for both of these programs, trying to make their way back to the tournament. Gardner, well short in traffic. Jermaine Merrow, first team all MEAC, held in check all the afternoon so far. Air ball.
What a closeout. That's just a beautiful closeout without fouling. Get your hand up, contest, and then finish the play off with the defensive rebound.
It's almost as if LaVelle Moton was sandbagging us, talking with him earlier today. We're not deep enough. We're not experienced enough. No starters back. Fouled on the 3-point attempt. Gardner's going to shoot 3 at the line. But yet it's the Eagles, the aggressor. NC Central playing like a 1 seed. And with a 3-point advantage under 12 to go.
The end, Roy.
Now coming up on Selection Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern, it's Bracketology with Reese J. Will, J. Bill, Seth, Dickie B, and the host, college basketball experts. We break down each and every region. SportsCenter starts us off at 5 Eastern on ESPN. We reveal the NCAA men's field of 68 as the teams are announced. Both also streaming live on the ESPN app. And tomorrow, remember, we move our clocks forward an hour and then let the waiting begin for all of these bubble teams. The last 4 in, according to Joe Lenardi, down in his bracket bunker as we speak right now. St. Mary's, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arizona State. Can you imagine a big dance without Trae Young? We're on the verge of that possibility right now. You struggle down the stretch.
Yeah, I really do. And I think Notre Dame's a interesting really situation. You know, played with arguably one of the better players in the country, and not just on their team in Bonzi Wells and Bonzi Colson, and a double-double machine. And you know, all those losses without him in the lineup, obviously they're clearly a completely different team with him in the lineup. So that's going to be an interesting really selection by the committee in terms of how do you grade them? You know, what do you do?
And all the ACL tears suffered in South Bend this year, including Colson. I think if you're on the committee, you look at that program and say, okay, now gaining strength, they're better perhaps than what their resume indicates. But how far do you take it for a team that's on the bubble? Here's a turnover and a steal by Perkins. An interesting dilemma. Rivas has had the hot hand. I think the Fighting Irish are going to be it. I think they'll get the benefit of the doubt because when they're healthy, it could be a top 10 team. And Marrow, a big shot from distance, his first triple and the first basket he's made since the 10-minute mark of our first half.
And that's a tough break, but that's what Hampton does. And Marrow, again, he is just such a good scorer. Almost 20 a game during the regular season, and that one was deep.
Only has 6 points in the championship till today. Inside, a strong move by Perkins. And the lead is back to 5.
And Perkins has played a nice floor game for NC Central. Sound on defense. He's been on Trent Street most of this game.
Shot was bothered. Out of bounds and back to NC Central. Jermaine Marrow just 6 points, excuse me, Malcolm, today, and got to find a way to get more triples going.
The referees reversed the call, and I think that's the right call. It looked like it was deflected by NC Central. Good defense, but I think the refs got it right. It should be Hampton ball.
Veteran officiating crew, Quez Crawford, Dwayne Gladden, William Humes. Punishing rebound by Dominique Reed. Here comes Perkins. Spins it in. Member of the All-MEAC rookie team, dropping 5 dimes a game. That time, a strong finish at the rack.
He's been solid. Defensively, he's a big reason why the guards for Hampton have struggled. But offensively, he's been on point.
Marrow with 8, 2 field goals in the last 60 seconds. We watched him in the semis yesterday in the first half, poured in 10 points before you could blink your eyes.
He's a volume scorer.
Perkins gets it back. Can't finish. It'll stay with Eagles in a fresh 30. Well, volume score, but also never lacking confidence as Trent Street goes out. Keem Mitchell checks back in. He would be one of those players, if Hampton makes the NCAA tournament, that you just never know. He could go off for 20, maybe 30 points in any given game for somebody that doubts his abilities because of his lack of size.
Yeah, and their backcourt really is just one of the betters in the MEAC. And you saw it last night in the semis. They put up 96 points. They are a very good offensive team.
Dump off, Reed. Little jump hook in traffic. Senior transfer from Niagara, Dominique Reed.
You can't execute any better the game plan if you're NC Central.
No look dish down low, Barnes. An aggressive move, and Rivas is going to pick up his second personal.
Well, we talked with the coaching staff before the game, and this is what they wanted to do. Be patient and then get high percentage shots, and they basically have taken the air out of the ball, and they've limited transition opportunities for Hampton, and they've done that all game long.
Trayvon Barnes, 1 of 5 at the line. Pretty good free throw shooter. Buck Joyner knows it, trying to encourage his junior big man. (52-46) NC Central.
Hampton falling back into a matchup 3-2 zone.
Here's a turnover. Ahead to Fisher. 1-on-2. Fisher off the glass. And a chance for 3, and Hampton right back in it.
You cannot turn the ball over against Hampton. That is their MO. Transition. They're one of the better teams in the MEAC. Off of turnovers that time, give it up, and then that's a nice finish. Take the hit, and that's just beautiful concentration at the end.
Rivas just picked up his third. Davis also has 3 for the Eagles. A 1-possession game, under 9 to play.
And I like this move by Hampton, going to the full court pressure and then dropping back into either a matchup zone or the man-to-man.
Gardner lost the handle. Had his pocket picked by Fisher. Three-pointer can tie it up. Mitchell instead down low makes it a 1-point affair. 6-0 run for Hampton. 52-51, and Lavelle Moten has seen enough. And the Pirates defensively ratcheting it up a couple of notches. Fisher the steal here, and the finish by Akeem Mitchell on the other end. What a night he's had so far for Hampton. Already been punched. 14 tickets have been punched. Most recently out of the America East. And Champ Week continues. West Virginia KU and the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship. 6 o'clock over on ESPN. North Carolina, Virginia tonight. It's part of the New York Life ACC Championship. 8:30. All brought to you by Principal, and of course on the ESPN app if you are out and about. Malcolm Huckabee, Roy Philpott back at the MEAC title game here inside the scope, and a good one brewing. 52-51. The Eagles of NC Central out in front of Hampton, and these two squads have combined to win 5 of the last 7 MEAC tournament championships. No strangers to success. Davis with 3 fouls, back to work. Outside now to Perkins. Last time Hampton led in this one, 28-27. It's been a while.
You can't ask for a better look if you're NC Central. That time off of the kick out, off the double team out of the post, and he was wide open.
Hextall, stop and pop. Pirates back in front. An 8-0 run for Hampton. What feels different to you at this point?
Well, I think the pressure by Hampton, and remember, I talked about it, fatigue could be a factor deep in the second half. Right now, a little over 7 minutes to go, and remember, NC Central, a team that did not get back into their hotel until 1 a.m. after last night's semifinal game, and I think fatigue really is the difference in this last 3 or 4 minute stretch.
That man telling us he got about 2 hours of sleep, running on fumes after this tournament run that no one saw coming. Reggie Gardner Jr. checking out. Raekwon Harney back in for NC Central. Two players take a tumble. Let's see who they whistle the foul on. It's going to be Harney. Team foul, first on Harney, so bonus situation coming up the rest of this one for the Eagles. Hampton already in the bonus. Off the steal, Hardy lays it in. Not as easy as that one looked right there as Fisher was crashing down.
Yeah, that's just great elevation and an arc on the ball to get it up over the defender. Just like that, NC Central back on top by 1.
Seven to shoot. Jermaine Merrow. And Barnes trying to claim the rebound. Veteran officiating crew indicating it's out of bounds back to Hampton. Momentum from Barnes had him carry out of bounds, trying to secure the board.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big break for Hampton.
This will be the last MEAC tournament for Hampton as the Pirates move to the Big South in July of this year, a move that has been controversial in nature. Eagles, Harney, and a hard bucket at the rim.
And that's just great recognition. You don't need to settle for a 3. You got a wide open lane. A lot of guys would have tried to jack up a 3 there. That time, don't settle, just rush right down the middle, and then another difficult finish, that time with the left.
Hextall, elbow jumper. (56-55), approaching 5 to play. Foul against Hampton. I misspoke moments ago. Pirates already in the bonus. NC Central still trying to get there. Quick shout out to a good friend of ours and an ESPN colleague, Jay Walker, who was recently enshrined in the MEAC Hall of Fame. That went down last week. Announcement came out in November. Jay, an incredible quarterback at Howard University, 7th round pick of the Patriots, played in the league for a couple of years and now does a great job for ESPN announcing football and baseball games. Jay helped me get it into the business, so a quick shout out to my good friend Jay Walker.
Well, on that Howard note, now I'm going to say congratulations, Jay. And on that Howard note, my brother Martin Huckabee played for Howard back in the day. They had a trip to the NCAA tournament as well. So all around shouts out to Howard.
Fisher pours in a triple, and we're tied at 58.
That right there is a big-time 3. Contested, and you can't ask for a better moment right there for Hampton.
4 ties, 11 lead changes so far. Harney, the crossover, outside. Perkins can't connect. Guerra skies in for the rebound out of nowhere.
Another offensive rebound. Loose ball that goes in favor of NC Central.
Tied at 58. The plot thickens here in the heart of the MEAC. The deep triple by Fisher. Final 3 and change coming up.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. Investments, retirement, insurance.
Interesting developments now in the A10 back here in Norfolk, Virginia. We're tied at 58 at the MEAC Championship game, and the Pirates starting to get it done on both ends. Greg Hextall, a couple of big buckets the last few minutes.
Yeah, he's been the X factor for them in this second half. He's made some nice plays for them. This is just a great mid-range game. Raise up over the defender, and it really started with their defense. They started getting shots, and in this right here, you can't do anything if you're NC Central. That's a deep contested three, and Hampton right now on a roll last few offensive possessions.
Pirates are the #1 seed, trying to hold serve in this MEAC tournament, their last MEAC tournament before joining the Big South. That move will happen in July. Harney with a shot clock winding down. I mean, that factors into a game like this as well, to know that a program that's been a part of the MEAC for more than 2 decades and has a lot of long-standing rivalries in this league. Likely many of those rivalries will come to an end on their move to the Big South. Mitchell, nice fake. Tried the finger roll. Couldn't finish. And a foul as Marrow got too handsy on that sequence.
Well, Mitchell did everything right. Nice little step over right here. That right there, he would like to have that one back. That's just legs and lift. He normally finishes that one. That's just a point-blank layup he missed right there.
Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, a 1-bid league. Winner of this one will punch their ticket. The 15th automatic bid extended so far. The loser, if it's Hampton, will still have a chance for postseason play in the NIT as the regular season champs of the MEAC. If it's NC Central, their season likely done. Rivas. And a fresh 30. The offensive glass by Davis. Basket will not count. Well, he scored only 5 points tonight, but 7 rebounds. Davis has done what he can up to this point.
And Roy, you can impact the game without scoring points, and he has been huge on the offensive and defensive glass for North Carolina Central. And those are plays that wind up, and you add them up at the end of the game, are winning plays, in particular under 3 minutes to go in a tie ball game.
Pressure is mounting, 2.5 to go. Davis back to the basket, spins and finishes. Eagles by 2.
What a great offensive set by NC Central. Patience, the ball went left to right, and then a high percentage post up in the paint. This is just great patience right here. Identify the matchup you want, and then this is just a grown man move right here.
That's a big man making a big man move. First points for Davis in this second half. He's got 7 and 7 as the leading scorer and rebounder coming into this contest today. If you're Hampton, what do you try to do on this possession?
Well, you need to get a good look. And, you know, obviously, NC Central's done a nice job contesting shots, but still plenty of time left. You don't need to shoot a contested 3 early in the shot clock.
Trent Street's been held in check recently, as has Marrow. Fisher has not. Can't connect.
And that's not a good look. And more importantly, nobody on the offensive glass that time for Hampton.
North Carolina Central University, the 6th seed, Rivas hacked. Both teams now in the bonus. Pablo Rivas will shoot a 1-and-1.
Roy, that's a great slip of the screen. He went and showed like he was going to set a ball screen and then just slipped it right at the last second. Look at this right here. That's beautiful offense. Caught the defense off guard. They had nothing else to do but foul him, and they just continue to execute in this game on the offensive side.
Bonus free throw coming and a chance to make it a 2-possession game. Pablo Rivas has been the offense for NC Central. 19 points. Perfect at the line. And 4 rebounds to boot. The lead is 4.
Still plenty of time. If you're Hampton, you still do not need a 3 on this possession.
Hextall can't finish. Rebound by Davis, his 8th. These teams have combined to win the last 5 MEAC tournament titles. North Carolina Central University did it last year. And a foul on Fisher.
Roy, the difference in this game has been defensive rebounding. North Carolina Central, they have done an outstanding job all game long cleaning up the defensive glass. They've contested, yes, that's been important, but they've given Hampton nothing on the offensive glass.
First free throws for Perkins of the afternoon. Clutch.
He has played a solid game all afternoon. Picking up right where he left off last night, had a solid floor performance for NC Central.
1 of 2 at the line. Does Hampton need a 3 here?
Still don't need a 3. Plenty of time left.
Outside, dangerous pass, and it's picked off. There goes Perkins all the way. Hextall needs it. Can't get it. And how about the North Carolina Central Eagles? A 7-0 run after we were tied at 58. The defense has led the way.
And that's been the story all afternoon. They've been solid. They controlled pace and tempo with their defense. And that right there sums up how the afternoon has gone for NC Central.
Rivas 3 of 3 at the stripe. Hampton without a point since the 4-minute mark. Make it 4 of 4. Rivas now with 21 to lead all scorers.
And if you start talking about tournament MVPs, you have to think Rivas last night. Huge, big win, 16 points, 2 steals in that game last night. And he just continues to be solid for NC Central.
Hampton needs a bucket in a hurry. Merrow in and out. Rebound by Davis. And the Pirates have to foul. You just never know. You just never know this time of year.
Well, I have never seen a team execute a game plan the way North Carolina Central did coming into this one. Roy, remember Hampton, a team that scored 96 points last night. North Carolina Central didn't get back to their hotel room until about 1 a.m. And I thought, man, how are they going to get it done against this Hampton team that wants to push the pace? And all they did was put on an offensive and defensive clinic. They controlled pace, tempo, and then offensively, they put on a clinic executing.
It started with Lavelle Moten's pregame speech to his team, quoting Eminem, "We got to seize the moment today, gentlemen. The banners we hung last year mean nothing. This is a different team." He returned no starters from last year's MEAC title winners. And yet here they are with a 9-point lead and only 18 seconds remaining. Back in 30, 69-60, the 6th seed on the verge here in Norfolk.
I used to have to go in to the auto parts store. Paid too much, never.
Now the drama is real. A 9-point lead for North Carolina Central University. Only 18 seconds remaining for the defending champs trying to repeat here in the MEAC. Malcolm Huckabee, Roy Philpott, one bid conference. Eagles midst of an 11-2 run to try to close this one out. C.J. Wiggins checking in, the junior from right up the road in Richmond, Virginia. And Zachary Douglas also about ready to walk back on the court. Malcolm, it's one of the reasons we love this time of year so much. North Carolina Central just 18-15, 9-7 in this conference. Hampton's won 10 in a row, including a 16-point win over the Eagles in the regular season. All that means nothing at this point.
And their coach, Lavelle Moulton, give him credit. He set the tone with that pregame speech. He said this is that one moment. And we were trying to figure out how these guys are going to find the energy to execute. And they just basically took the cue from their coach, who set the tone before this game.
Trent Street uncontested. Shot clock is off. 9 seconds remaining. And that's going to do it. Lavelle Moulton has done it again. MEAC Madness has arrived in Norfolk. And with 0.9 seconds remaining, a technical foul was just called as some fans approach the floor.
Well, I think it was a player, and Coach Moulton telling his guys, wait until there's zeros on the clock. And certainly in a game that, if it was closer, that obviously would have been a huge call. But 0.9, North Carolina Central is still going to win this game.
And we'll get the update here from our veteran officiating crew. So the players came off the bench before time expired. That's a technical foul. And they'll head back to the monitor.
And what they've determined is they want to find out how much time they need to put back on the clock. It's going to be a technical foul. And now they're going back to review how much time should be on the clock. And Coach Moulton obviously not happy with that. A little premature, but certainly still a comfortable enough margin to win. So right there, I'd probably say about 3 seconds generous should go back on the court.
But to your point, in a 9-point game, really only delays the start of the celebration down in Durham and for this North Carolina Central University program. Now 3.4, maybe 3.5 seconds should be left. Well, a teaching moment for anybody that's watching and for this Eagles program, right?
Yeah, and that certainly would have been a harder lesson if the result was a loss, but still, it's just like you said, just extending the inevitable, which is they're going to be celebrating North Carolina Central with a ticket punch into the big dance.
Well, a disappointing end to the sophomore season of Jermaine Merrow. First team all MEAC, leading scorer, nearly 20 points per game. And Hampton will have a chance now in the NIT as the regular season champs. And NC Central on its way to the NCAA tournament. One pass should do it, and it will. Final score in Norfolk, 71-63. The 6 seed Cinderella finds a way.
Well, if you're North Carolina Central and Coach Moulton, you have to be pleased with how your guys executed, getting back to their hotel room 1 a.m. after the semifinals win, turn around, play at 1, and put on a clinic both ends.
North Carolina Central, a 13-5 run after we were tied at 58 to pull away at the very end. 71-63 the final, and let the bracket busting begin, Malcolm.
It was a beautiful performance and another ticket punched. What a performance by North Carolina Central.
The 10-game winning streak is over for Hampton. NC Central clinches the automatic bid. Next on ESPN2, the Ivy League semifinals, Yale versus Penn. But first, we send you back to the studio. So long from Norfolk, Virginia.